All right, my friends, let's get this show on the road here. You are watching Political Point Magazine. Where the right is right and the left, well, left is, well, you know, always on the wrong side of history. So, why? So enjoy a conservative point of view. And let's talk pea soup. With tonight's top stories. So Obama addresses the nation on Syria. But we will show you why we call this the flip-flop speech. The speech of contradictions. That's right. Now, apparently now on Syria, there's apparently a new diplomatic solution, proposal, whatever, going through, which was proposed by Putin, based on a misstep. But anyhow, and we will tell you also about Vladimir Putin's little op-ed in the New York Times. Also on the rundown, the economy is still on a downturn, and in a spot where we still have massive deadlines to make, and Obama has missed every single one, and they got a budget and stuff. And also, we'll tell you about Tuesday's elections, particularly about how Spitzer and Weiner are out of the picture now. We will talk about all this and more with you, the viewer, and with me, your humble host, William Mitro. All right, my friends. Yes, we have lots to talk about. Lots to talk about on the scene here. All right, but oh yes, yeah, lots to talk about tonight. All right, so my friends, a lot has been going on in the news lately. Apparently, you know, all the mess and everything goes with Syria and everything, but it's quite interesting to note that I'm gonna plop this up here, but anyhow, I want to mention first off that you know, leaders who would consider this the United States in involving the United States in the civil war of the Syria are against are really there's a lot of people out there that are against taking action against Syria, military action and stuff. And now I want to go through some of this here because there's a lot of people out there that are misconstrued about the situation here. And in the situation in Syria, but Bashir al-Assad, we know, has used chemical weapons of mass destruction on his own people. Okay, and but now there's a situation that you know, Congress was supposed to vote on a resolution and whatnot, but everything fell apart because Obama was never going to get the support for this, and I want to go through some of this now because this is quite relevant to what's going on here. Now, I believe that now in the era of Ronald Reagan, okay, Ronald Reagan had four basic essential rules for combat life and whatnot. So his first rule was Okay, the United States should not commit its forces to military action overseas unless the cause is vital to our national interests. Okay? Now, that's rule number 1. Okay? Now, rule number 2, okay, he says, okay, Reagan says, if the decision is made to commit our forces to combat abroad, it must be done with the clear intent and support needed to win. It should not be a halfway or tentative. All right. Now, it should not be a halfway or tentative commitment, and there must be clearly defined and realistic objectives. All right. So now, and his third rule, okay, his third rule was before we commit our troops to combat, there must be reasonable assurance that the cause we are fighting for and the actions we take will have the support of the American people and Congress. All right. We all felt that. Then he says we all felt that the Vietnam War had turned into such a tragedy. Okay. Now, but now, and the fourth rule. Now, the fourth rule. This is Reagan's fourth rule as a reason for objective combat. Okay. The fourth rule is, okay, even after all these other combat tests are met, our troops should be committed to combat abroad only as a last resort when no other choice is available. That was Ronald Reagan. Okay, and you can read that on page 466 of his memoir, An American Life. Okay. Now, but those were Reagan's objectives and Reagan's rules as far as combat abroad. Okay. Now, this is why we won the Cold War without a shot fired. All right. Reagan had it right. And I think it's clear and obvious now that Obama really doesn't know what he's doing. Okay. So now I'm going to talk about the speech of contradiction. Okay. Now, Obama. Now we have the speech of contradiction here. All right.
President
Okay. And we now know.
must take the
Whoa, hold on.
military.
Oops. Okay. Okay.
Fine.
Yep. Okay. So now, we now know that that everything that Obama has been espousing here, and we now take into consideration here that Obama now addresses the nation, okay, on Syria. Okay, he did that on Tuesday, and I want to show you some of this
Security
speech
analyst.
here. All right, now some of the speech here, all right, in which we now are coming into a crossroads here because now there's contradictions. There's contradictions now based on a misstep of what of Secretary of State John Kerry had said. Okay, now there is plenty of Assad. There's a new proposal for diplomacy now to take in. Okay, because John Kerry apparently was asked a question, what would be the easy solution? Okay, and he answered that the easy solution would be for Assad to give up his weapons, all of them, you know, but he's not going to do that. And then Putin jumped on to that and offered a solution for Assad to give up all of his chemical weapons of mass destruction. Okay, give up all of his weapons to the UN Security Council, and under the security policy here. Okay, and then then but there's a catch to all of this. If Assad does that and agrees to all of that, then Obama has to let up and stop his threat of military strikes on Syria. And now Obama's not liking that. Okay, and I know that this to be a fact here, but I'm gonna get into the speech. Okay, the speech of contradictions. Okay, the speech of contradictions. So Assad now has his little days now to agree to this diplomacy in action here. Okay, and let me put it on Assad here. Okay, now in terms of Assad here. Okay, now Obama has addressed the nation on this, and it's quite obvious now. Okay, that we can see what's going on here. Okay, now, all right. So, okay, yeah. I wanna bring you to this speech here. All right, and it's quite interesting. Here we go.
2, the Nazis used gas.
Oh, wait a minute. I fast forward too much here. Okay, so wait. Okay.
Violation of the laws of war.
All right. Let me get into that a little bit later. But anyhow, there now is a new proposal. Okay. In which we now.
Gas in the trenches of Europe. In World War II, the Nazis used gas to inflict the horror of the Holocaust. Because these on a man with no.
Okay, wait a minute now. I want to get back into that because now, all right.
Civilized world has spent a century working to ban them. And in 1997, the United States Senate overwhelmingly approved an international agreement prohibiting the use of chemical weapons, now joined by 189 governments that represent 98% of humanity. On August 21st, these basic reason to stop using
reacted favorably.
Reason to stop.
Okay, now I want to get into that a little bit more because at the start of the speech there's a little bit of a contradiction in terms of what Obama is trying to address. Okay, now in the midst of this here, all right, now we know that now Assad has blinked. Okay, now if it weren't for all of the opposition to all of this, and in fact we now know that Assad has blinked, and he's now taking into this. Okay, the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin. Okay, which we see in this picture, not that picture. Sorry about that. Oops. Okay, right there, Vladimir Putin. Okay, and Vladimir Putin would never have proposed a compromise plan to put Syrian chemical weapons under UN control unless he had cleared it with the Syrian dictator Bashir al-Assad. Okay, inevitably now Syria will accept some variation of this offer. Okay, it's another offer that they can't refuse. All right, in all of this. All right, and so you can't turn down an offer from your only friend, Russia, okay, in the whole world, and live to tell about it. Okay, so Assad likely agreed to the Putin plan because he knows that he can't use gas now. Okay. Well, you couldn't use that before. All right, and it's quite interesting the way things are playing out here. All right, because based on that misstep of what based on that misstep of what Secretary of State John Kerry has said. All right, now okay, here it comes. I'm gonna start the speech over again, and we got this. Okay, we're gonna get this in here now, because this is the speech of contradictions, because Obama is trying to have it both ways, okay, in this speech. Now, if you listen very closely to what Obama is saying here, all right. So first off, okay, I'm gonna go through it, and it's gonna be quite interesting here, all right. So I want you to see how much the contradictions impact on the speech here. Okay, so here it comes.
Over the past 2 years, what began as a series of peaceful protests against the repressive regime of Bashar al-Assad has turned into a brutal civil war. Over 100,000 people have been killed. Millions have fled the country. In that time, America has worked with allies to provide humanitarian support, to help the moderate opposition, and to shape a political settlement. But I have resisted calls for military action, because we cannot resolve someone else's civil war through force.
Now, he said he's resisted calls for military action. But then in the next sentence, basically, he contradicts himself. Okay, now take a listen.
Particularly after a decade of war in Iraq and Afghanistan. The situation profoundly changed, though, on August 21st, when Assad's government gassed to death over 1,000 people, including hundreds of children. The images from this massacre are sickening. Men, women, children lying in rows, killed by poison gas, others foaming at the mouth, gasping for breath. A father clutching his dead children, imploring them to get up and walk. On that terrible night, the world saw in gruesome detail the terrible nature of chemical weapons and why the overwhelming majority of humanity has declared them off limits, a crime against humanity, and a violation of the laws of war. This was not always the case. In World War I, American GIs were among the many thousands killed by deadly gas in the trenches of Europe. In World War II, the Nazis used gas to inflict the horror of the Holocaust. Because these weapons can kill on a mass scale, with no distinction between soldier and infant, the civilized world has spent a century working to ban them. And in 1997, the United States Senate overwhelmingly approved an international agreement prohibiting the use of chemical weapons, now joined by 189 governments that represent 98% of humanity. On August 21st, these basic rules were violated, along with our sense of common humanity. No one disputes that chemical weapons were used in Syria. The world saw thousands of videos, cell phone pictures, and social media accounts from the attack. And humanitarian organizations told stories of hospitals packed with people who had symptoms of poison gas. Moreover, we know the Assad regime was responsible. Reason to stop using chemical weapons. As the ban against these weapons erodes, other tyrants will have no reason to think twice about acquiring poison gas and using them. Over time, our troops would again face the prospect of chemical warfare on the battlefield. And it could be easier for terrorist organizations to obtain these weapons and to use them to attack civilians. If fighting spills beyond Syria's borders, these weapons could threaten allies like Turkey, Jordan, and Israel. And a failure to stand against the use of chemical weapons would weaken prohibitions against other weapons of mass destruction and embolden Assad's ally, Iran, which must decide whether to ignore international law by building a nuclear weapon or to take a more peaceful path. This is not a world we should accept. This is what's at stake. And that is why, after careful deliberation, I determined that it is in the national security interests of the United States to respond to the Assad regime's use of chemical weapons through a targeted military strike.
You see that? That's the contradiction right there. Okay, the contradiction right there. See, he said initially he was reluctant for military force, and then he laid out the case for the military strikes. Okay, now take a listen further of some more.
The purpose of this strike would be to deter Assad from using chemical weapons, to degrade his regime's ability to use them, and to make clear to the world that we will not tolerate their use. That's my judgment as Commander-in-Chief. But I'm also the President of the world's oldest constitutional democracy. So even though I possess the authority to order military strikes, I believed it was right, in the absence of a direct or imminent threat to our security, to take this debate to Congress. I believe our democracy is stronger when the President acts with the support of Congress. And I believe that America acts more effectively abroad when we stand together.
This is the part where he calls on Congress to vote on a resolution, right? But then he contradicts himself again. All right, take a listen.
This is especially true after a decade that put more and more war-making power in the hands of the President and more burdens on the shoulders of our troops, while sidelining the people's representatives from the critical decisions about when we use force. Now, I know that after the terrible toll of Iraq and Afghanistan, the idea of any military action, no matter how limited, is not going to be popular. After all, I've spent 4.5 years working to end wars, not to start them. Our troops are out of Iraq. Our troops are coming home from Afghanistan. And I know Americans want all of us in Washington, especially me, to concentrate on the task of building our nation here at home, putting people back to work, educating our kids, growing our middle class. It's no wonder then that you're asking hard questions. From feeling deep concern when ideals and principles that we have cherished are challenged. Our ideals and principles, as well as our national security, are at stake in Syria, along with our leadership of a world where we seek to ensure that the worst weapons will never be used. America's not the world's policeman. Terrible things happen across the globe, and it is beyond our means to right every wrong. But when, with modest effort and risk, we can stop children from being gassed to death and thereby make our own children safer over the long run, I believe we should act. That's what makes America different. That's what makes us exceptional. With humility, but with resolve, let us never lose sight of that essential truth. Thank you. Reason to stop using chemical weapons.
Reacted favorably.
Anyhow, before the end of that speech, he said he's going to call for pause for a diplomatic solution. All right. Now, but let me tell you about Putin now. But he talked about a little bit about focusing in on the economy as opposed to the war, right? Okay. But on the economy, my friends, all right, the economy is actually in dire straits right now still, all right? Now, on the economy is still on the downturn, okay? Now, the total non-farm payroll employment, now, supposedly in August, we created 169,000 jobs. Most of these jobs are part-time, though, okay? The unemployment rate was little changed. It's only at 7.3%. It's still up there, okay? Now, both the number of unemployed persons, 11.3 million, and the unemployment rate at 7.3%, was little changed in August. Okay, the jobless rate is down from 8.1% a year ago, but it's still up there. Okay, and but among the major worker groups, the unemployment rate for adult men is 7.1%, adult women 6.3%, teenagers 22.7%, and whites 6.4%, blacks 13%, the highest. Wow. Hispanics 9.3%, showed little change, and the jobless rate for Asians was 5.1%, not seasonally adjusted. Okay, that's a little change too. Okay, and not to mention manufacturing is in decline still, and it's just it's a sluggish growth economy. It's not a robust economy. All right, Obama is killing jobs, especially with Obamacare. Okay, which is killing the 40-hour work week, and also causing confusion because it's targeting certain businesses. Certain businesses they're ordered to provide health care for their employees, but their health care, well, in some of those businesses, the health care that they provide won't cover their families, and thus they're getting punished for that. Okay, and Bill Clinton even spoke out against that. Okay, so what does the unions, Al Gore, and Bill Clinton have in common now? Okay, they have all spoken out against Obamacare. Okay, now when you lose Clinton, Gore, and the unions, you got a problem there. Okay, but Obama's policies have not been working. All right, and on this note, my friends, I want to go into before I get into the phone calls here. Okay, we have this op-ed piece from Putin. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you about this op-ed piece from Vladimir Putin. All right, right there. Okay, now I'm gonna read some of this in the New York Times. All right, now he put in this long op-ed piece. Okay, and it's entitled "A Plea for Caution from Russia." All right, now he starts the thing off by saying, "Recent events surrounding Syria have prompted me to speak directly to the American people and their people and their political leaders. It is important to do so at a time of insufficient communication between our societies. Relations between us have passed through different stages. We stood against each other during the Cold War, but we were also allies once and defeated the Nazis together. The Universal International Organization, the United Nations, was then established to prevent such devastation from ever happening again." Now, he lectures us on diplomacy and whatnot and why not to go to war in this op-ed. Okay, now no one wants the United Nations to suffer the fate of the League of Nations, which collapsed because it lacked real leverage. This is possible if influential countries bypass the United Nations and the military action without Security Council authorization. All right. Now, in regards to Syria, he says Syria is not witnessing a battle for democracy, but an armed conflict between government and opposition in a multi-religious country. There are few champions of democracy in Syria, but there are more than enough Al Qaeda fighters and extremists of all stripes battling the government. The United States State Department has designated Al Nusra Front and the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant fighting with the opposition as terrorist organizations. This internal conflict, fueled by foreign weapons supplied to the opposition, is one of the bloodiest in the world. Okay. Now, he concludes this op-ed by taking a shot at at President Obama. Okay, and he says this. Okay, my working and personal relationship with President Obama is marked by growing trust. I appreciate this. I carefully studied his address to the nation on Tuesday, and I would rather disagree with a case he made on American exceptionalism, stating that the United States policy is what makes America different. It's what makes us exceptional. It is extremely dangerous to encourage people to see themselves as exceptional, whatever the motivation. There are big countries and small countries, rich and poor, those with long democratic traditions and those still finding their way to democracy. Their policies differ too. We are all different, but when we ask for the Lord's blessings, we must not forget that God created us equal. So there he took a stab at our nation, okay, and whatnot. But now even before I get to the phone lines here, okay, I want to get into this, okay. There's a little bit of buyer's remorse, okay, from several people on the job that Obama has been doing, all right, and it's quite significant, okay. It's quite significant, okay, as to what is really going on in the world here, all right. But there's a little bit of buyer's remorse here, okay. This one coming from W.C. Fields, all right. Now take a listen to this, okay. Now, okay, take a listen to this. I never voted. He says, I never voted for anybody. I only vote against. Okay. Hell, I could vote against any of the Democratic hopefuls in the mayoral primary. But like most New Yorkers, I'll vote against 4 of them. The last time now, W.C. Fields says, the last time I voted for a candidate enthusiastically was when Barack Obama was running for president. Barack Obama promised to end the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, close Gitmo, curtail government snooping, and stop intervening in the internal conflicts of foreign nations. And he says, I voted for change. Okay? Now, he says, it took 4 years for Obama to leave Iraq. We're still in Afghanistan. Gitmo festers an Al-Qaeda recruitment symbol. The federal government snoops on us more than ever. And now Obama asks the Congress to support him in firing missiles on Syria. Then he says, I thought I voted for change. Instead, I voted for George W. Obama. Wow. Now that, my friends, is quite quite scathing. But now, before I get to the phone calls here, I want to get into this, okay? Now, Tuesday's elections, okay? Tuesday's elections, my friends, okay? You remember this, okay? We have this, okay, right here, all right? And the New York Post says, they're all yours now, All right. Okay. And I want you to take a look at this, okay? Because now you remember that that now all of this festers over this right here, okay? The but you got to think about the wives of these people, okay? Spitzer and Wiener are out. Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay, Spitzer and Wiener are out. All right, and it just goes to show you that yep. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Yep, no, that's not the one. Okay, but Spitzer and Wiener are out of the picture here. All right, and if you take a look at this here, all right. Yep, but anyhow, yep, Spitzer and Wiener are out, and this is I thought I had that in there, but anyhow, on the bylines here, all right, but Spitzer and Wiener are out here, okay, and if you take a look at this, okay, their wives have vacated them. Okay, Spitzer's wife divorced him. All right, and Wiener's wife left him. All right, so they're out now, and you know there's apparently no redemption for these people because of their scandals. Okay, and on top of that, I guess Tuesday's election really showed that that New Yorkers are and people across the country are not tolerating this behavior in our public officials. All right, so because there were other officials that ran for public office that got involved in sexual harassment scandals, and they got voted out. All right, so New York is not redeeming these people. Spitzer and Spitzer and Wiener, the tabloid twins, they're out. They're out for good. Gonna enjoy private life now. Okay, so Wiener can go on sexting and whatever he wants to do with that now. Okay, and he can become a Twitter sensation, showing his pecs and privates on the internet there to he basically can do what he wants, now. The wives were really smart in throwing them to the curb. Spitzer can go to the Emperor's Club or whatever, and enjoy his prostitutes. Okay, these people nowadays. All right, but on that note, my friends, okay, we are going to take it to the callers now. Okay, so the number is 272-3835. Okay, 272-3835 is the number. Okay, so who is paying attention here? All right, 272-3835 is the number. Okay, now, so I want to make clear that, on that note, we have the politicians that got involved in scandals and whatnot, and I really feel that that the voters spoke. The voters spoke. They didn't want Spitzer controlling the finances, of New York City. They weren't trusting. They didn't get the endorsements, and that they needed. And Wiener, oh my gosh, Wiener, he was a loser to begin with. Oh my goodness. Okay, but while I'm waiting for calls here, there was a little thing that came up in the news. All right, and it's quite shocking. Okay, it's quite shocking. You remember Zimmerman? All right. Well, apparently Zimmerman has gotten into a little bit of a dispute with his estranged wife. Okay, and this incident was also involving a gun, but nobody got killed. this time. Okay, nobody got killed this time, and it's just amazing that I don't even see, in this article in the USA Today and the Daily News actually. Okay, now the Florida neighborhood watchman acquitted for murdering an unarmed teen, Trayvon Martin. Okay, went berserk Monday, went berserk last week, Monday, punching his father-in-law in the face and pulling a gun on his estranged wife. Okay, now 8 police cruisers rushed to the house in Lake Mary, Florida, after a terrified Shelley Zimmerman called 911, screaming, "I'm really, really scared." Okay, Shelley Zimmerman, 26, told a police dispatcher that husband George flew into a rage just after 2 p.m. and punched her father, Colin Morgan, in the nose. She said that after smashing her iPod, George began waving a gun, threatening that if they got one step closer, he'd shoot them. So, I'm quite puzzled by this because, I was so in support of the guy because he abided by the law, in the Trayvon Martin case. Okay, and he was acquitted of that. It was self-defense. But here he goes berserk against his estranged wife, and for what? It's just weird. I don't know why. Okay, but it's 272-3835 is the number, my friends. All right. Now, if you are paying attention, okay, there is lots of stuff going on in this world. Okay, but you need to be paying attention and focused on the world around you. All right. Okay. So, time now is of the essence, and my friends. Okay. So please take light of what is going on, and do you think? Now I posed the question here. Okay, do you think that this new diplomatic strategy will work? Okay, because Assad already has been approved of this situation, and it looks like he's going to give up his weapons, which is it's possible now. It might happen. I'm not too impressed with the job performance of this administration, especially now since now we heard from that op-ed from Vladimir Putin. I think Putin is playing us. I really do. I think he's still upset that he lost the Soviet Union, to Reagan, and I mean, this is the former KGB guy. Okay, mind you, the former KGB guy. Okay, Vladimir Putin. Okay, right there. All right, and this guy, he writes in this scathing op-ed, and lecturing us. He has the nerve to lecture us on situations, in regarding foreign policy and diplomacy and whatnot, and then he attacks, President Obama. I'm not a big fan of Obama, but people were appalled when they woke up Wednesday morning, okay, or it was Thursday morning, okay, when they woke up Thursday morning and read the New York Times and this guy's op-ed piece. Okay. Let me show you. Let me show you. It's okay. It's quite. This is what the op-ed piece looks like. Okay, right there. Okay, it's with the hand up, there, and Putin's words are all around it. Okay, all around it. But this is what it looked like in the New York Times. Now, yes. Okay, so. Hello, you're on the air. What's on your political mind? Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I'd like to urge all your listeners to vote for Hillary.
No. No chance in hell, my friend. She was the worst Secretary of State. And her performance as senator was quite appalling. Thank you for your call. All right, now. But anyhow, how dare, Putin, okay? How dare he? He comes across, offers this diplomatic solution, which now Obama is playing into the hands of the Russian dictator, now. But, maybe, if I were to play devil's advocate for this thing, maybe it might work out. I'm not particularly hopeful on it. Okay. You're on the air. What's on your political mind?
Hello.
Hello.
Howdy. Hey, I just want to know your thoughts on this subject. Now, Snowden is in Russia, and this thing is going on with Syria.
Yeah.
And and Russia is, of course, giving Snowden a place for a spell, at least for a while.
Oh yeah.
So, how do you think this is going to affect everything? As far as I'm concerned, actually, there's one thing that I like Snowden for is because he brought everything out for everybody to see. But now it seems like the Obama administration is hiding any facts they claim that they have that proves that, so they say, proves that Assad is actually responsible for all this chemical stuff. So I'll leave you with that question and hang up and see what you say, okay?
Okay. Well, all right. Well, the Assad regime was responsible for the chemical attack, but as far as Snowden is concerned, Putin has said, Snowden can just do whatever he wants now, But I think that's ridiculous because, I like the fact that the stuff is out there because of Snowden, but in the way in which he did it, he looks like a coward now, and he's making America look bad, but Obama's done a pretty good job of that already, so, and so now, with this whole Syria thing, it's just a mess. It's just a mess, I tell you, and we're not getting much of anywhere, okay? But now that this diplomatic solution is coming, I mean, Putin is really playing us, okay? He doesn't like us to begin with now, and if you look at the pictures, okay, like the pictures of Obama meeting with Putin, okay, you look at the expressions on their faces, okay, like this is Putin, okay, right here, all right. You look at the expression on his face, all right, and then next up we have Obama, okay, and Obama's face is just quite similar. They don't like each other. There's distance between them, and they don't get along and they don't agree, and the whole situation, with Syria, and Putin and his op-ed supporting, diplomacy and Syria and stuff, and attacking the U.S., verbally attacking the U.S. over its policies, And this is the former KGB guy that we're relying on now for this diplomatic solution. It's just ridiculous. I think it's totally appalling. And Putin. I think Putin wants the Soviet Union back, which he's not going to get. His country's not any better. But it's just ridiculous the way things are going on now. And now we have deadlines to meet. And now we may have to put in a provision to delay Obamacare for at least a year, all right? Because it's causing a strain on the economy, all right? It's killing jobs, and and not everybody is covered by this, all right? You're on the air. What's on your political mind?
Okay, I just want to make two comments and then hang up.
Okay.
Well, I think that you're reading too much into facial expressions rather than what people say. And the other thing is, I think that that our government should be delivering us facts that proves that there was proof that Assad is the guilty party that did the chemical attacks. And also Russia now, I think that this is actually strengthening Russia's hand against us
And he's
in
playing
the sight
us.
of all the other nations.
Yeah, he's playing us.
So I'll leave you with that.
He's
Comment on that if you would.
Yeah. He's. No, I've also taken into account what was said between Russia and the United States, and on Syria they totally disagreed, with Putin didn't want airstrikes, Putin didn't want the U.S. to attack Syria, so that's why he's offering this diplomatic solution, which is based on what John Kerry stated, and when you're Secretary of State, you can't make those statements. You can't make those misstep statements, all right? Kerry goes out there and answers a question. He says, "Oh, I think the easy solution would be for Assad to give up all his weapons." But but he's not going to do that, and it can't be done. And then Putin jumped on that and said, "Oh, hey, there's an idea. Let's have Assad give up all his weapons under UN security control, and then if that happens, Assad has to sign on to the chemical weapons ban treaty that's already been proposed, and if that happens, Obama should back down on his threat of war. All right, so it's all in the works, and I feel that Putin is playing us. Putin is playing us. I don't like it at all. I don't like it at all. But I'm gonna give this diplomacy thing a chance, because right now, Assad did sign the treaty, and it is looking like he is giving up his weapons, but we'll see what happens. This is quite shaky. It's quite iffy. It's a double-edged sword, and I don't like it one bit. All right. So, but on that note, my friends, it is time now. Okay. One last call. Okay. What's on your political mind?
One last comment is I just want to say I'm glad that Putin is actually holding his ground and letting letting the world know that he can't be pushed around, and neither can this tiny little country, Syria. And so we need to remember this ourselves.
All right.
And so I think that Almighty God is going to do something out of all of this, because God is with us, God is with everyone, and so God is going to prove his position among us all. That's what I think. So
All right, my
have
friend.
a good day. Thank
Yep.
you.
All right, my friend. It's time for the last words of the night. Okay. And now this, my friends. Okay, I want to show you this. All right. Now, the studio recently got an email from somebody by the name of John Doe. All right, and I'm gonna read this email to you. All right, we're gonna put it up on the screen. All right, now take a look at this. All right, this is the email. Okay, the email from a mysterious John Doe. Okay, and it says, the man who hosts Political Points made homophobic remarks to my friend the other day. He espouses his filth on your television station. I'm sorry, but how can you condone what he says and give him a forum to say it? Get him off the air now, or my friend says he will sue. Now, my friends, this is cowardice, okay? Cowardice, to say the least, okay? You and your friend, you give no indication of what you are talking about, all right? No indication of what I said or anything. And you guys are cowards. You make yourself look like cowards by hiding behind an email with a phony name, John Doe. All right? Give me a break. All right? If you want to come on this show and challenge me, you can. Okay? If you want to have a program on Channel 13, you can too. All right? But don't hide behind an email, and make these bogus claims. All right? Because you're making yourself look bad. You're cowards, and it's not to be condoned. All right. But anyhow, that is the last words of the night, and we thank you for watching Political Point Magazine, where the right is right, and the left is always on the wrong side of history. All right, and you can watch us on YouTube. All right, watch us on YouTube. That's right. Okay. And we are out. We thank you for watching Political Point Magazine, where the right is right, and the left is always on the wrong side of history.